In 1996, production of the Atari Jaguar had ceased. When revealed, it was promoted as the next-generation gaming device, sporting 3D graphics, high-fidelity sound, and a host of technical marvels including network play and a VR headset. Despite its market failure, though, Atari had delivered on a number of its promises. The Jaguar saw the release of a CD unit, network devices to offer support up to 16 players across 4 consoles, and a working prototype of their VR headset all the way in the mid-90s. In addition, one-off features were available in a couple of commercial titles, such as rotary controller support for Tempest 2000, and the VR headset having support in Missile Command 3D. The combination of such eclectic hardware support and commercial obscurity made for fertile ground for a cult following. Once the rights to the Atari Jaguar properties were sold off, the new owners even released the development tools and documentation to the public, declaring the Atari Jaguar an open platform. With this, a homebrew community was born. Over the next 15 years, this community would collect source code from various unreleased titles, polish them, and release them. In addition, new original titles were created by prominent members of this community. This gave the fans of the Atari Jaguar a sort of ownership over the fate of the console. No longer do they have to sit and watch promising games fade into obscurity. No longer do they have to only speculate about what the swan song console could do. They could write code, talk to former developers, and author the final chapters of the 64-bit gaming system. This is where today's review comes in. We're looking at Impulse X for the Atari Jaguar. This is a homebrew title released in 2012 by Matthias Dahmen, based on the Atari Falcon game by Duranic. Impulse X is a brick breaker style game. Players take control of a paddle at the bottom of the screen and move it side to side, trying to keep a bouncing ball above it. The goal of the game is to clear all the breakable blocks on each level, mitigate enemies that may change the trajectory of the ball, and try to score as many points as possible along the way. Power-ups for this game include Glue, which causes the ball to stick to your paddle wherever it makes contact, giving the player time to adjust for the next serve and control the trajectory and pace of the game. Long, which extends the size of the player's paddle and makes juggling the ball much easier. Magic, which makes the ball travel through all bricks without bouncing off of them. This makes the ball's path of travel far more predictable and enables the ball to break previously unbreakable gold bricks. Laser, which gives the paddle an onboard gun that can fire a straight shot that destroys bricks and enemies. Jump, which advances the player to the next stage. This is useful for seeing later stages of the game much sooner, but may also cause the player to miss out on those sweet points. 3, which acts as a multi-ball, splitting the ball into 3. It can be chaotic to track all these balls, but it's also a very efficient way of clearing a stage quickly. Face, which simply gives the player a 1-up. Impulse X uses these power-ups to break up gameplay and give the player different possible decisions to make when approaching the various level designs. Some brick structures protect precious power-up storing bricks with gray ones that take multiple hits to eliminate. Other structures space out the bricks to require more lateral movement from the ball. Still others guard bricks with invincible gold bricks, forcing the player to either get a lucky shot or hunt for that magic power-up. Impulse X also teases the player with the novelty of a new stage to entice them to try to move through the stages as fast as possible. However, there are benefits to taking one's time and clearing all bricks from each stage. Each brick gives 50 points, and each destroyed enemy provides 500 points. This can all add up during the final volleys to get that one last brick. Despite its arcade roots, Impulse X is a very leisurely experience. All the sprites run smoothly, the music is a cool synth that just gives a hint of energy, and each stage graciously transitions between one another with no break to the music. The ball never increases in speed, instead relying on the enemy positioning and the player's own humanity to cause failure. This makes for a very even feeling pace that encourages the player to just sit back and enjoy the ride. When I want to unwind and play a simple game without a major time commitment, Impulse X is what I go to. I can decide whether to explore new stages and see what new challenges await me, or I can just try to focus my efforts on making a new high score. When I play, I also normally restrict what power-ups I use. I prefer to just play with the long paddle and rely on my own skills to clear each stage. I find the glue power-up to slow the pace of the game too much, the magic, 3, and jump power-ups to clear the stages far too quickly for me to efficiently farm out points and, make that potential high score. And the laser shrinks the size of my paddle too much and makes juggling the ball more difficult. I also prefer to play using a rotary controller of some sort. Early arcade games like Brick Breakers, Pong, Kaboom, and Tempest benefited from such a controller. It allowed for smooth and nuanced single-dimensional movement. A rotary controller is a knob that can freely turn, or spin, either clockwise or counterclockwise. This allows me to control the speed of movement across the screen and make fine adjustments for positioning. A digital pad or joystick just doesn't offer the same sort of fine-grained control I'm looking for. There was never an official rotary controller released for the Jaguar, although the development docs outlined a standard for such a controller. In order to play with such a controller, one must build their own. The one I used was built by my brother, Chris Bushman. Using some arcade parts, the guts of an Atari Jaguar controller, and the shell from a third-party PS2 fighting stick, he made quite a comfortable controller that one can just lay on their lap, sit back, and break bricks to their heart's content. In a lot of ways, this entire gameplay experience is what the Atari Jaguar is all about. Players are meant to find their own fun in what the hardware can offer. Often the experience isn't perfect, but it's unique and enjoyable when given a chance. It's about the promise being fulfilled on the player's terms, not by waiting for a company to make it happen. Most of all, it's about bringing a community together to celebrate a silly console and enjoy some games that others may not have ever gotten to play. When I turn on the Atari Jaguar, I'm not thinking about the commercials or market failure. The eventual uses of the console's manufacturing molds and the drama surrounding it are irrelevant to me. What I'm thinking about is the product of a lot of volunteers' hard work and creativity. They wanted to give a specific experience. They were inspired by this little piece of hardware and wanted to express themselves. They wanted to show that a game console doesn't have to live and die by the marketplace, and that ignorant internet historians don't get the final say in what's fun and enjoyable about a gaming platform. I'm thinking about how much fun this console has brought hobbyists and how much fun it's brought gamers. In that respect, the Atari Jaguar has been wildly successful and may continue to be for years to come.